Hi, welcome to another video today. So we're going to start with our quote of the day, which is going to be Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Okay, so that's our quote of the day. And the topic we're going to cover is pinging a list of hosts. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is kind of more of a project and using a combination of commands here. So we're going to do like a list, create a list that will have the hosts listed in there. And we're going to use PowerShell with this following script, that we're going to create, which will read the host names or IP addresses from that text file, and then we're going to call the commandlets to have it ping each of the hosts, and I'll put the results in the console. So that's what this project is about. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to create our text file. Okay, and okay, so we have a lot to do, so I'm going to create the file through here. So if you don't know how to create through here, what you could do is you could so I want to do it in the scripts folder. So I believe this is a scripts folder here. Okay, yeah, we're in the scripts folder. So you just have to hit new file, and I'll call this host file.txt. Alright, so we're in the host file, and what we're going to do is list our hosts. So we'll do google.com and 19. Okay, and then we'll do maybe msn.com. Alright, so these are our host files, and we're just going to save that. And once you got that saved, so now we're going to build our script here. Alright, so let's get started. So what we want to do is we want to read from this file first. And so we're going to create a variable here. I'll just call it host file. That's the variable that we'll assign it to. And then we just put the path to that variable file. So it should be in C scripts. And then host file.txt. Okay, so that's our host file. And then what we want to do now, we want to read each of the lines in the file. So we got to do get content, which is kind of like we'll get the content of the file. Okay, and then what file we want to read? So we want to read the host file, and then we put the variable in here because the path is already assigned to that variable. So that's pretty much the same way as hard coding the path. And what we could do is we could do a combine. So remember how we kind of piped the output into another from our previous videos. If you watched it, if you haven't, just check the ones where we kind of declared like how to put outputs and inputs to combine commands together. And you can see that in the where objects one or the select objects, so that'll kind of give you an idea as well in those videos. So in this one we're doing the for each object. So we also covered this, and the for each object is kind of like a loop object, so it will be looping through objects in this case. So as you can see, we're doing reading it, and then the output of pretty much the content of the file, we're going to loop through each of those lines. So now we will do host. So we're just assigning another variable, and $sign underscore kind of means like this will be the actual the current record that we're currently in this case it will be the current line we're looping through. And now what we want to do is, so now we have that assigned to the host. I'll just put maybe current host, so that way it kind of looks a little more meaningful. So yeah, So it's better like if you could kind of like maybe have your variables kind of kind of look meaningful, like so you'll when you look at it visually, it kind of gives you an idea. Hey, this is most likely is going to be assigned to this for some reason. So okay, so now we're creating another variable, ping result, which will be assigned. We assign that ping result to the actual command that we're calling, and I think we used this command the other day, and just maybe 1 or 2 videos back. So it'll be test connection. Alright, so this test connection, and then you're going to put computer name. This was the parameter we used. So computer name, and then you're actually going to have the value, which will be current host. Alright, so that's what it'll be placed in there as. And then we maybe want to do a count of 1. So why do I need to put the count here? So that way, if you have it by default, it may maybe do it 2 or 3 times. So if you set the count to 1, you're kind of like telling it, hey, I only want to ping this only 1 time. So that is what that means. And I don't think we covered this topic, but I did maybe pull it up in a video. If you went through all the, well, if you were following me from day 1 to now, I think in one of the videos we did use error action. We didn't explain it fully, but pretty much what it means is kind of like it's a error handler. So if we encounter an error calling this command, it will kind of spit out a bunch of red, messages and so on. So this error action, you could actually handle it, like you could have it ignore it, or you could silently continue it. So in this case, we will use silently continue. Okay. So if the error happens, it would just kind of like not give you any feedback on it. It'll just go to the next one. Because if you didn't put anything there, like for an error action, then and you had more hosts that you needed to loop through, it will not. It will just stop the script there. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so we're gonna do our if statement now. If ping result. So if you didn't, if you're not sure what this means, or how come it doesn't have like a ping result. Now this is kind of straightforward. So you're just checking to see if this has any, if this connection is true, meaning that it got back a successful response. Then this is understood. If you just put the variable, it's understood is checking to see if it's true. That's what it pretty much means. So if you just had the variable in there. So now, if it's true, we want to write the output. You could also use the host as well. And, we could just say host. Well, sorry, it'll be current host. Okay. Oops. Okay, there you go. It's just kind of slow on my side. Alright, so current host, and that way we're going to check to see if it's true. Then we want to see if it's online, right? And then we will do an else statement, and this will tell us if it's offline. So we want to do write output and we'll do the same current host, and you just say is offline or not reachable. Okay. All right, so let's and then we want to make sure that you have your curly brackets for this outer that closes the for each object code block here. So just make sure. So we'll just go through the script very quickly here. So we assigned our host file, which has this content in it. So it's going to go through google.com, this IP address, and msn.com, right? So we picked an internal IP address and then 2 external domains over the internet. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the content of all the content of that file, and then we want to go through each. So for each object, it already knows it's going to be line items. So each one of these will represent the for each object current host. So current host will be that first line, and then it'll go, when it finishes the block, it'll go to the second one and third one, and then the script will end. So we're assigning the current record that's currently the current host in that file. Well, we could say maybe the current row, and then we're assigning the current host, and then the ping result will be the result of this command. And so we're going to test to see if we're using the test connection to see, and doing like one ping to see if it came back with a response. And if it came back with a response, it also means it's true. And if it came back with an error, we're handling the error. So it may just spit out a bunch of could not be found or something like that. So if we silently continue, you would not see the error, and it will just go to the next step. So this kind of help cleans up your script. And we want this here to determine if it's up or down, right? So you use this to kind of have it more human readable, I would say, and maybe have your script kind of handle the errors in a certain way. So that's where this comes in here. So we run this if condition to see if the ping result is true. If it's true, that means we got a response back successfully that current host is online. So that's why we write the message here. Else, if it's not true, then it is an error most likely. So that's why we put it here, and we give the offline message. So let's give this a shot and see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, we got it here. Everything is online. So let me try to maybe pick a machine. 0. So the script worked, but we just want to see how it handles the errors. So let's maybe just see how that works, just curious. So we want to save this file. And this is what I'm showing you. You see how you could maybe update the list easily without kind of going back in our code and keep adding stuff to it. So if you have something, that host list, it'll be a little more easier. So let's see what we get. And there you go. So as you can see here, so our script started here with the update. So we got the Google is online, the IP address is online, and the second IP address, the new one that we put in, is offline or not reachable. And as you can see, it didn't spit out the error message with some, kind of like how can I say, like a stack trace or something. And then the MSN was online. So you can see it handled the error pretty nicely. And yeah, so we kind of went through what we learned in the past videos. We try to use a little bit of everything. So that knowledge that if you went through the videos, of course, you kind of have the knowledge now to kind of combine it to make it to a useful script. And you could even maybe enhance it even further. You could even put colors and stuff like that if you wanted to as well. But yeah, so I think that's all we got covered today. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's close off with our quote of the day. Alright, so the quote of the day is going to be Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Okay, so that's our quote of the day. Don't forget to read your Bible. And if you're not going to church, please find a good Bible-based church. And I hope this video is very useful to you. So see you in the next video. Thank you.